think Learning Works and the refocusing of the undergraduate curriculum is a really welcome development in many ways. I think it's going to make the Wolverhampton degrees more streamlined, much more focused than they have been in the past. There's been perhaps too many kind of bits and bobs that have been added onto degrees for want of more detail. However, with the changes, I think they're going to be a much more general degree, but much more content heavy.
In terms of the way they're actually taught, I think we're going to be looking at a more diverse range of teaching methods, a lot more different blended learning strategies, and involving using the internet and using the VLE a lot more interactively and in new and different ways than we have already. But I think that will become a much more commonplace on modules, whereas before there might be one or two modules that students will think of as being the one that uses the VLE a lot, and I think it'll be much more commonplace and a constant in the curriculum. And that brings me on to another thing really, the term a module. I think it will change the way students are taught because they won't really see modules anymore. Hopefully what they'll see is a much more integrated curriculum, and the way they're taught, they'll see it all knits together, and they can see how what we're doing, well, certainly this is what we're planning, that what they do in one module will feed into what they're doing in another module, so they will hopefully see it as a much more a package as a whole.
Overall, I don't think it's going to be a massive obstacle for students. New students will just move on to the 20 credit modules, whereas old students will just do less modules. It's a bit more streamlined, more focused modules. So rather than doing 8, it's going to be doing 6, so you can look more in depth at the modules, so you get a better understanding of what you're actually learning.
I know everybody's really passionate about it in the university and really focused on this change and very, very optimistic about it. And I think it does mark a real change in how things are going to be here at Wolverhampton. I think the courses are going to become much more in demand. I think we're going to have increased numbers. I think, hopefully retention won't be a problem. And I think it's going to be very positive, the message that new students are getting. I think it's going to be very exciting, as it's a very big change, and there's a lot to be hopeful for.
It's about selling the idea that if you've got a Wolverhampton graduate who's coming to you for a job, you know that one, they're pretty digitally literate, because you think, they've been to Wolverhampton, we know Wolverhampton does this. They're going to be pretty enterprising because that's what Wolverhampton stands for. They'll probably have done a work placement, they might have done something in the community, because that's what Wolverhampton is. And with any luck, they'll have a wider perspective than just the West Midlands. They'll feel themselves as part of a world society, and that's really what we're hoping to do, to say this is what Wolverhampton stands for.